This is a lecture from Open Tuition. For the free slides that go with this podcast, please visit opentuition.com.
This slide illustrates that the different levels within an organization require very different types of information. Take the strategic level. This can be represented by the board of directors or senior managers. The information required by these people is usually highly summarized. They're looking at whole divisions or whole companies, and part of the summarization will mean that they don't need the information in all its accuracy. It may be rounded to the nearest thousand or million. Secondly, it is a very important function of top managers to look forward, to plan, to try to see where the business will be in 1, 3 or 5 years' time. Therefore, the type of information needed by these managers will often be future estimates. What will the size of the market be? What will interest rates be? What will the competition be doing? And this information is needed for planning. Top managers are not so concerned with the retrospective recording of what's happened. That is, of course, important, but they should be more concerned with planning for the future. What will our cash flow budgets imply for our funding requirements? Do we need to borrow money or raise more share capital? Should we think now about building new factories? And finally, the strategic information is often ad hoc, in other words, non-routine. For example, a one-off report might be required if the competition and market size in a particular country which the company might be thinking of expanding into. Having received that report may never be required again. Therefore, there's a great need for flexibility in supplying the required information. Finally, strategic managers have a high need for external information. They need to know what's happening in their environment, their competitors, and the technical advances taking place in their area of business. At the bottom of the organization is the operational level. An example of someone at the operational level would be an accounts clerk. People at this level are usually dealing with very detailed information. They're recording transactions which have already happened, therefore the information is historical, it is retrospective. The information and the processing is often routine. Every month they do an aged receivables printout or a slow-moving inventory printout. And finally, the information is almost always internal. For example, they might be comparing actual results with budget results. In between these two extremes you have the tactical level. By and large, a tactical manager is concerned with a year's results. Are we going to hit budget, for example? Are we going to stay within the expense constraints? They require some sort of mix of information. Some aspects of it will be like that required by the strategic level, and some more like that required by the operational levels. This slide gives some examples of internal and external information. There's not a lot to add to it, but be aware of the very wide variety of information and information sources that might be useful to organizations. This paper is called The Accountant in Business, and of course businesses exist within an environment. It's therefore useful to categorize the environmental influences that businesses may suffer. The Pestel model looks at the environmental influences which are very large, macro-environmental, and Pestel stands for political, economic, social, technological, and relatively recently ecological and legal. It's easy to see how these will influence how a business gets on. For example, political, joining the EU, political tensions, war, alliances, can all influence many businesses. It goes without saying that economic changes can have very serious influences on business, and under economic will come effects such as interest rates, exchange rates, tax rates, and whether the world economy seems to be doing well or is in decline. Social changes include what's known as demographic changes, that is, changes in the population. And in many Western countries this is characterized by relatively few young people and more old people in the population. This can have serious implications when it comes to recruitment or when calculating the pension or medical liabilities of businesses. Technological changes are easy to understand. You only have to consider what the internet has done to many businesses. Banks, for example, need fewer branches as more people opt to deal with their accounts online. Many bookshops and music shops have been affected by Amazon, which makes sales online through a sophisticated website. Ecological influences are relatively new. These are effectively green issues. Some businesses are affected more than others. Airlines, for example, are coming under increasing pressure because it is claimed that jet travel makes damaging emissions high in the atmosphere. More businesses are paying attention to packaging and to waste disposal. Legal is sometimes included under political influences, but obviously new laws, perhaps consumer protection, safety laws, employment protection, once again can have profound effects on how businesses operate.